My name is Joe Montoya. That's Joemontoya. I am the Division Chief of Investigations for the Denver Police Department. Today in Civic Center Park, approximately 3:30 p.m., the protest activity that we had been working on was starting to break up. People were starting to egress out of the park. At 3:37 p.m., officers working the event got on the air and indicated there had been shots fired and that there was a person down, and they also indicated that a suspect was in custody. What we determined was that there was a verbal altercation that transpired at the area of the shooting, which was between the Denver, the Art Museum and the Denver Public Library, probably just south of 14th Avenue. There was a verbal altercation that transpired. Firearm was discharged. Individual was shot and later pronounced deceased. There were 2 guns recovered at the scene, and right now that's what we have.
What do you know about the parties that were involved?
We're still trying to determine that, whether who they were affiliated with. So we don't know that right now.
Well, a Denver television station has indicated they were affiliated with them.
That's not been confirmed by us yet. We're still interviewing multiple witnesses, and we're trying to determine that to be factual before we report on it.
Can you say anything about the biographical information of the charges?
Both white males.
How were the people taken into custody?
The person taken into custody was the individual that we determined shot the other individual.
Right, at the scene or some distance from the scene?
At the scene. Immediately upon, after the shooting occurred, the individual was taken into custody.
Just one into custody?
One into custody in relation to that incident.
Chief, there was a report that one of the individuals, the victim who was shot, apparently sprayed somebody with tear gas or whatever, or
we're still trying to determine that. There was mace recovered at the scene, a canister of mace. We're still trying to determine, we're reviewing the evidence to determine if that's exactly what occurred.
Chief, it looks like there was a halo camera right there where this happened. You guys have access to that video?
We do.
Have you viewed that video yet?
Yes.
Does it capture the incident?
It does capture the incident.
Okay, and where are the 2 suspects or the 2 people that you have in custody right now? Are they in the police headquarters or where are they right now?
Well, we have the one suspect in custody, and he is at police headquarters right now.
Okay, there was another person that was taken into custody too. Where's that person at?
Non-related. Initially, we thought they were non-related.
Okay.
Is the person taken into custody a security guard, and do you know if that person is authorized to carry a weapon?
We have not determined that yet. So we don't know if they were a security guard. We don't know if they were authorized to carry a weapon. That will be something that we're able to verify through the investigation. Once we do, we will report out again and give you all that factual information.
Was the victim present at the Patriot rally?
Again, that has not been established yet. We're still interviewing people. We don't know what affiliation the victim was, who they're affiliated with.
And is that the same with the shooter? You don't know their affiliation?
Yes, that's correct.
Where was the victim shot?
We can't talk about that right now.
Was it a male?
It was a male.
So, Chief, I'm getting the indication at this point you guys haven't decided on any sort of potential charges.
Not yet. It's way too early. We have the district attorneys, as always, are involved in the investigation, and they'll make that determination.
How do you de-escalate this going forward? This stuff seems like it's just going to keep happening.
Well, hopeful that as soon as possible, we can get the factual information out as to what led to this, who the individuals involved were. We're hopeful that that information will help kind of calm the waters a little bit. We don't want any erroneous information going out, any speculation, because that's really what hurts us, and that's what gets everybody angry and motivated to commit more violence, and that's what we're trying to prevent.
There was a very notable presence from Denver police today. What can you tell us about the presence of Denver police in that courtyard when the incident happened?
Well, I mean, there was a large presence because we had two groups with opposing views, and we know that can always get very tense, and there's always potential for violence. We understand that. We had a large contingent there to try to watch the egress of one group so that the other group wouldn't intermingle with them. So that's the reason for the large presence there. Yes, I don't know right off the top of my head. I'm not, nothing's coming to me right now that jumps out. I know we've had some violence. I don't know that we've had a fatality that was related to the actual protests. I know on the early end there was a homicide that was committed in the park, but it was some distance from where the protest was occurring, but it did happen in the park during the time of a protest. So we don't know if it was any relation to the protest.
That was today?
No, this was probably back in June.
Oh.
Yes.
Chief, I want to make sure I'm clear in my head on what the facts are. You took 2 people into custody, but you have 1 in custody.
Well, we have the one in custody in relations to this homicide investigation. I do know there was a second individual that was taken into custody in close proximity. We have determined that individual is not involved in this incident, but they were a person of interest at the time.
Okay. And where's that person right now? Can you tell us, Chief?
I believe there might have been some potential charges on him in relation to something else. So I can't honestly answer that.
Okay.
He could potentially still be in our custody. May have been cited and released. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
All right. Thank you.
Was the
We
victim pronounced
noticed
dead at the
Chief
scene?
is here. Did he want to say some words?
No, I think that I'm representing the police department on this for what we want to talk about right now.
So was the victim pronounced dead at the scene or at a hospital? Where was the body or the person taken afterwards?
I believe that happened at the hospital.
Okay.
They did render aid right away. The officers on scene rendered aid to the victim immediately, and the victim was transported and later pronounced deceased.
And what other forces were on the scene aside from Denver police? Was the sheriff here? What other security forces
Well,
were there?
we had Denver sheriffs, we had Arapahoe County sheriffs were assisting us, as were Douglas County sheriffs. It's unclear right now who was involved with taking the suspect into custody and responding to the initial shootings.
Do you know if the 2 groups were separated at the time? I spoke with one of the communists who said that they were on the north end and the militia was on the southern end of the park.
Right. So
did they ever clash at any point, to your knowledge?
To the best of our knowledge, of what we know, they were separated. We went through great lengths to separate them and keep them separate. So throughout the process of the protest, they were not in close proximity to one another.
Have you been able to view cell phone video or social media of this incident?
We are working on several people had cell phones. Obviously, that has to be consensual for them to allow us to use that video. So we are talking to them right now to determine whether or not they'll allow us to see that. We understand there's probably various versions of it out there already that's beyond our control. So we know that's a reality.
Did one person fire a chemical dispersant and the other person fire a gun?
That's part of the investigation. We can't disclose that right now.
Can you say, I know that you're still trying to get to the bottom of that, what the law is in terms of can somebody use force against somebody who uses gas on them?
Well, I think it's all in the articulation. I mean, that's for the district attorney to evaluate as to what, if that's the case, whatever, in any instance, what you deem that threat to be, how you articulate that, and then it's up to the district attorneys to determine if it fits the criteria for charging or not.
Were there any other arrests made during today's protests other than these 2?
There were not.
Going back to the bigger question, are you going to talk to organizers of both of these sides? Or, again, I'm trying to get at the bigger question.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we'll make every outreach effort possible. We encourage any leadership with any of these organizations to work with us, to try to work through this process. We want to de-escalate anything that is rising right now, because that right now is our primary focus is to de-escalate the situation. We can't have any further violence in conjunction to what happened today. We just do not want that to happen.